Can Aljamain Sterling get it done again by taking out Henry Cejudo? See who fighters are picking in the latest edition of MMA Pros Pick.
I see Aljo winning that one. Cejudo don't even deserve that title shot. You know what I mean? They're trying to take Aljo out to clear the path for Sean O'Malley because they know O'Malley can't beat Aljo. So they're saying, how do we take Aljo out there and get it to where Sean O'Malley, who could sell all his pay-per-views, could be the champ? But it's like they have to handpick so many fights to get a position to where Sean O'Malley has a chance to get a title shot because they can't just throw him to the champ. The champ will and break his neck, you know? I'm just tired of the bullshit, but hey, I'll call it how it is.
I think initially I gave the edge to Cejudo because, I think he's fast, he's powerful, he's I think he's a better striker than Aljamain is. If he comes back similar to what he was before. Who knows with a long layoff like that, but I'm just assuming he comes back the same. I think he's just a more technical, faster striker. Aljamain strikes to get where he wants to go. He's not really just trying to hang out on his feet up there. But I'm done hating on Aljo's wrestling. I really am. I think he gets a lot of crap because maybe he's not as decorated as some of these other guys, but he's definitely, I don't know, he's changed his style to very much fit MMA. And so, Teddy Atlas told me, and then he said it live on, ESPN that people will get 30% better just by winning the title. And I think Aljamain's been doing that. So I got to give the edge to the champ because he's been more active, and we don't know what Cejudo's going to look like.
I think Cejudo have a big chance to do a good fight because he take a long time off and probably he healed all of his injuries and probably get better, no? And then I think he just take this time off to recover, and then he can come back and do a little race again. So I think he can do really good right now, but I'm excited to see. I don't know who's gonna win because Sterling is a beast as well, no? His fight against the Russia guy was amazing, no? He proved that he's the truly champion, so Cejudo's gonna have big trouble. I can't pick a winner on that fight because it's very different stylistic, so I'm just excited for watch.
I definitely go with Benjamin. Yeah. Sterling, yeah.
Cejudo is it's a great fighter. The result has been showing that and all that stuff that he has been doing in sport. But for this match in specific, I see advantage over Aljamain Sterling for the size, for the amount of fighters he has been lately. Didn't take that much damage, and to be longer and the pace, cardio wise, and all that. I think that's gonna make a lot of difference in that bout. So yeah. I see a little bit like Aljamain Sterling.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Having an advantage of that fight.
I gotta ride with Aljo. I love Aljo. I love what he's doing. He had that first Peter Yan fight. Everyone kind of thought he was fake news, but he came back, beat him, beat TJ, and I think he's going to pull up what could be the upset in beating Henry.
Upset. Aljo. I think Aljo gets on his back, gets the finish. Based off of how dominant Cejudo was when he was fighting, he hasn't had as many close fights as Aljo. Aljo's has some razor. I like Aljo, but his hands, they're not as good as Henry's, and I know he's going to have to rely on the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu, and I think he can take him down. It's just, will he be able to get on his back? I think if he gets on his back, I think he's able to finish. After he finished my teammate Corey, I believe in Aljo's rear naked. I think he's got the best in the division.
Oh man, that's a tough fight. I feel like I got Aljamain Sterling. Granted, Cejudo has done amazing things. He's an amazing wrestler, amazing, talent. But I don't know, how he's coming back. He was pretty chubby, for a little bit, and he's coming back. How long is his layoff? Do you know?
It's a couple of years. I think it was 2020 he last fought.
This game, the spring chicken, so I'm gonna have to go with Aljamain.
Ooh, I'm gonna give it Aljo.
Yeah, man. I mean, Aljo's looked unstoppable lately. I know it's kind of hard to gauge with that Dillashaw injury with the shoulder and everything, but Aljo's one of those guys that if he gets a hold of you, it's pretty much a wrap. Cejudo is probably going to be one of his toughest stylistic challenges, though. I mean, Olympic level wrestler, guy who is like a genius at game planning. So I think it's going to be Aljo's hardest fight. I just think eventually Aljo's size and reach and everything is going to play a factor. And I do think with 5 rounds, might get a hold of him and get his back and get a submission.
Man, that's crazy. That fight is so crazy. And to make a long answer short, I got Aljo in that one. I mean, like Henry, if anyone can do it right now, it's Henry. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously he has world-class wrestling, you know, probably the highest caliber wrestling in the UFC. And, you know, his striking, I think technically his striking is better than Aljo's, but when you take into the size and, you know, Aljo's been active, his confidence, you know, Aljo's a smart guy. I got Aljo winning that one.
Oh, man. See, that's the thing. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like Aljamain has had a pretty easy road. I feel like he didn't earn that second title win with Peter Yan. I think, you know, TJ had a hurt shoulder. I feel like he's just been getting by. So, I think Henry got something to prove. I have a lot of respect for Henry. He's a great coach. He really analyzes everything to the T. So I think I'm going to go with Henry Cejudo on this one.
I think Henry Cejudo wins. I don't think it's a great matchup for Aljo. I think Aljo's a good fighter. I just think the matchup's tough. You know, I feel like it's going to be really hard to out-wrestle Henry Cejudo. And I feel like Henry Cejudo has pretty good striking. And the thing he's able to really do very well is on the fly, make game plan changes. You know, we saw that in the Marlon Moraes fight. Like, he has super high IQ. And he's able to actually implement those changes. So I feel like Henry retains, gets the belt back, and then I don't know what they really do from there.
I think Aljamain wins. Just he's been active and he's been looking great in his past title defenses. I'm gonna go with Aljamain.
I mean, the consistency of Aljamain, it's something that Henry need to respect, and the people who he's been fighting with. But man, the more that I watch and the more that I study and the more that you get into this into the business and into the sport, you realize how big of a IQ Henry have in his benefit. You know, the way that he describes fights, the way that he look at fighters, sometimes it's like unique, pretty much. Like, I don't see nobody talking like he talks, or describing fights like he describes fights or fighters in general. So yeah, this guy, I think Henry might pull it out, you know, like before, but it all depends in age, you know, and the inactivity. I see him training with DJ, and like he have really good people to train with. So I don't think he's actually inactive, but let's see. I just want a good fight for that one, though. To be honest, I see Henry get winning, if you ask me.
Oh man, that's gonna be. I don't know. I think Henry Cejudo. I think Henry Cejudo. He's a little tank.
I could see Aljo pulling it off. I know Henry's a great grappler. Aljo, I feel, is a little longer, wiry, a little more unorthodox, I feel. But he's also dangerous with great grappling as well. I feel like Aljo can do enough to be on top in those grappling exchanges, but Henry will be good enough to bring it back to the feet. And I think that Aljo wins on the feet. So
it's going to be a tough fight, I think, because Aljo's main skill set is taking people down, taking their back, and kind of nullifying what they do. It'll be interesting to see if he can do something like that to Cejudo, just because Cejudo's wrestling is at an all-time high, and I don't think he gives his back up very easily. So that'll be an interesting one, but I gotta go with Aljo.
Cejudo. I'm gonna lean towards Henry Cejudo, but if Aljamain can do basically what he did to Peter Yan and out grapple and just grapple the living crap out of Cejudo, I think he could possibly maybe get it done. But it's Cejudo, you know, Olympic wrestler. His grappling credentials are as high as pretty much anybody. So I'm going to lean towards Triple C.
I'm going to go with Aljo. I think Henry is a MMA genius. I really do. But Aljo is also, you know, a master of the game, of the craft, and he's got a lot less rust on him. Henry, you know, peaked a few years back as far as MMA, and Aljo is now peaking, and I think the momentum is a big part of it.
Honestly, I don't know what's going to happen with that. Aljamain seems to be on an absolute tear. He seems virtually untouchable right now. But Henry Cejudo was one of the most dominant champions in the division for a very long time. So it'll be interesting to see how he performs when he comes back. I would expect nothing less than elite world-class performance from him. But there is the question of the ring rust. That was really the only big question that people had about John Jones versus Cyril Gane, was the amount of time off, the time out. Obviously, we can assume that he hasn't been just sitting around doing nothing and then decided to start training again for a fight. But it's different when you're in the gym versus in front of a crowd with the belt on the line and all that extra added pressure and flash and production. I would give it to Aljamain.
I'm going for Cejudo. I don't have any issues with Aljamain, but I mean, I've met Cejudo personally. Such a nice dude, my fellow Mexican. Absolutely, I'm going for him.
I think that's a good fight. I guess maybe I lean slightly towards Cejudo, but that one's a good fight. It's a toss-up.
Dude, that's a good fight. And actually, Aljamain, I've seen him and Bryce train quite a bit. He's the truth. But look, Henry Cejudo, he's a GOAT, bro. He is a Olympic champion and a world champion for the reason. So I'm going Cejudo.
I'll go with Henry Cejudo.
That's a tough one. Aljo, he's big. He's going to have some size. He's definitely has continued to improve over and over as a champion. So, Cejudo's, he's a bad man. He's hard to deal with, but he took a little time off and stuff. And I think it's going to be hard for him to deal with.
Super close. I think the size difference is going to play a role, and I got Aljamain Sterling.
Aljo's grown on me. He really has. He's become a good champion. He's pretty big and physical. Cejudo did good work the way he beat TJ, but I think Aljo wins that fight. Maybe by even rear naked choke, but I could see him out grinding that fight too.